After World War II, the Soviet Union had cemented its grip over the nations of Eastern Europe, forming friendly regimes in and creating alliances with each of these nations. Now, although the loyalty of these regimes to Moscow wavered at times, there was one nation that always seemed to stay on side: Bulgaria. Some considered this nation's government so loyal to Moscow that it was often considered the 16th Soviet Republic. And during the 1960s and into the 70s, Bulgaria's leaders wanted to make that a reality. So in this video, we'll be looking at why Bulgaria wanted to be annexed by the Soviet Union, and also why the Soviets rejected Bulgaria's offer at least 3 times. That's right. Bulgaria asked to join the USSR not just once, but at least 3 times, and the Soviets rejected them each time. And then there's Mongolia, whose government asked to be annexed by the Soviets at least 6 times, but that's another story. Anyway, some of the main reasons that Bulgaria's leader, Todor Zhivkov, and his government wanted to join the Union were as follows. Bulgaria was struggling to pay back its debts owed to Greece after the war, which originally amounted to $1 billion but was reduced to $70 million with Soviet help. However, even this reduced amount was a burden to Bulgaria's government. Therefore, Bulgaria wanted a greater share of the USSR's aid budget to its Warsaw Pact members, or just more money in general. Zhivkov reasoned that if Bulgaria joined the USSR, then they would receive more money, which would be paid from the Union's budget. It was also hoped that even if the Soviets wouldn't accept Bulgarian accession to the USSR, then Bulgaria would at least be able to get them to provide more economic and financial aid through these discussions on joining. This support would also have been beneficial to Zhivkov himself, so he could secure his own personal rule. The Soviets, however, weren't keen on letting Bulgaria in, for multiple reasons. Firstly, the USSR didn't want to pay the rest of Bulgaria's debts whether they were a part of the Union or not. After all, the Soviets had already helped to reduce Bulgaria's debt to Greece by 93%. Surely they were capable of finishing the rest, right? Secondly, the Soviet government wouldn't be getting much benefit from annexing Bulgaria. Maybe if Bulgaria had a stronger industry like East Germany or Czechoslovakia did, then sure, Moscow might have taken the annexation offer a bit more seriously. But all Bulgaria really had to offer in terms of benefits was more agriculture and a bigger coastline on the Black Sea, something that a place like Ukraine was already giving them. Finally, there were more negatives than positives that would come from annexing Bulgaria for the USSR, both domestically and internationally. The Soviet system of government was already a bit of a mess, with 15 republics. Adding a 16th one that was disconnected from the rest would have made it even worse. And since Bulgaria would be disconnected from the rest of the Union, achieving full integration with the other republics would be much harder. Even more importantly would be the political reaction from the United States and NATO. A backlash from these nations, especially Turkey and Greece, was guaranteed, since they would feel their sovereignty was being threatened. Annexing Bulgaria could have also increased tensions with Yugoslavia and Albania, 2 socialist nations that hadn't been on the best of terms with the most powerful socialist state. This move could have created an impression in these 2 countries that the Soviets wanted to expand their influence, even by force if necessary. Given the Cold War, the tense situation, and events like the Cuban Missile Crisis at the time, it was better not to provoke America and the European allies by doing something that would ultimately be nearly pointless, given that Bulgaria was practically giving the Soviet Union everything it already wanted.